Okay. I think it should be able to see.
Maybe. Okay. I'll edit all of this out. All right. Hi everyone. My name is Danielle Olsen. This is an informative speech number 1 for COMM 110 at Bucks County Community College. Me being a geology major, I decided to do this on the increasing seismicity in Oklahoma and in the past couple of years and its causes. And in the past 5 years, it's been happening for a while, but for the past 5 years, there's been a dramatic increase in the number and average magnitude of earthquakes in Oklahoma, and people are starting to wonder why. So right now, Oklahoma actually has more earthquakes per day and per year than California, which is surprising because California has tons of active faults. I don't know if you know anything about the geology of California, but there's tons of active faults, so it's very tectonically active in California, but Oklahoma, it rarely has any tectonically induced earthquakes. So there's obviously a problem going on. So the largest earthquake recently was a 5.6 magnitude on November 6, 2011, and it caused extensive damage to buildings and infrastructure just from the earthquake itself and from the earthquake swarm afterwards. So, and studies by the USGS, U.S. Geological Survey, shows that it's not a natural fluctuation in the number of earthquakes. It's actually being caused by stress-related events that trigger these earthquakes. So previously it was thought that these earthquakes were caused by fracking. I don't know if you guys know what fracking is, but it's hydraulic fracturing, and it's basically the injection of fluids into shale beds at extremely high pressures in order to free up the petroleum resources in the shale beds and then remove them. So it's not the actual drilling technique, but it is a way to increase the recovery of oil and gas, so it's making people money. So the actual fracking process only takes 3 to 5 days on average to complete a well, and from then, wells can produce for years. So that's one reason that fracking has been ruled out for the reason for these earthquakes occurring, because these earthquakes are happening every day, all day, and fracking process only takes 3 to 5 days, and then it's done. So, and there's only been 2 confirmed fracking-induced earthquakes ever recorded, and they were very low magnitude. So, Bill Ellsworth from USGS, this is a quote from him from his recent study. He did a lot of work on studying what is causing these earthquakes. He said, "We find no evidence that hydraulic fracturing is related to the occurrence of earthquakes that people are feeling. We think that it is more intimately connected to the wastewater disposal." So that brings me to the actual cause of these earthquakes, which is saltwater disposal. And when I say saltwater, I actually just mean the fluid that's pumped into the ground for fracking, so fracking fluid. It's just wastewater that can't be released back into nature because it contains all kinds of chemicals that you just should not be drinking, and it can't be filtered or cleaned at regular municipal wastewater sites or plants. So what they do is they pump it into the ground, really deep underground, into formations that are porous enough, basically so just to get rid of it. It's a giant trash can down there, and it will never reach the surface. So there are 144,000 Class 2 injection wells in Oklahoma alone, which means they're just used for wastewater disposal. That was a mistake. 144,000 in the United States, but 3,300 in Oklahoma. So basically, Oklahoma produces 22 barrels of wastewater for every 1 barrel of petroleum resource produced, which is pretty bad. So, and the reason that Oklahoma has so many of these wells is because some states, some of the surrounding states, it's illegal to have these wells. So everyone ships all their wastewater to Oklahoma and injects it there because it's legal and it's cheaper. So the idea of induced seismicity, it's been around for a while, so there's a lot of studies about it. It's been found that injection of fluid into these formations underground can and will cause earthquakes if it happens enough. So because when you inject fluid underground, you're increasing the pore pressure, and it basically acts as like a lubricant for the surrounding faults in the area. So if pore pressure is increased enough, the fault will slip, and then to release the pressure on it or the stress, and it will cause earthquakes. So it's not randomly creating faults or anything like that. It's basically just reactivating faults that are already there, because it's increasing the pressure underground so much from all of this water. So it's definitely an obvious problem. So there's been some efforts to remediate these earthquakes, because some of them are actually really damaging. Most of them aren't, like you wouldn't even be able to feel them, but like some of them actually cause a lot of damage. So that, like I said, there's some efforts to remediate it, but it's not going to stop for a very long time before something actually really, really bad happens. So in Oklahoma, when an earthquake occurs, if it's large enough, all the wells in the vicinity of the epicenter will be monitored and to see if it happens again, and if it happens like directly where that well is, then it could be shut down, or there could just be restrictions placed on the volume or the pressure that the well is allowed to produce at. So there are a few other methods of disposing of this wastewater, but like I don't think anyone has actually figured it out yet. I don't know if you've ever seen a picture of this, but sometimes they dump it into like an evaporating bed and just let all the water evaporate and they get rid of the solid. But there's so many problems introduced to that, because a lot of times the lining leaks and it just ends up going into the groundwater anyway. Or it'll rain and it'll flood and then it's going everywhere. So it's a major problem. And they tried 1 or 2 plants dedicated to filtering this water and like making it safe, but the water that came out of it after actually failed like the test for being safe to go back into the environment. So obviously that doesn't work either. So basically, saltwater injection is the easiest and most effective method of getting rid of this. And with all the increasing fracking here, getting our oil from the United States, it's going to keep increasing. So as fracking increases, the injection will increase, and basically earthquakes will keep increasing too. So that's really the takeaway message. There's not really much that we can do about it. And that's it. Any questions?
Thank you, guys.